And it's on. All right, cool. So this is the pre-tournament discussion for Brawlers Bash, alongside also some list coverage from the foul perspective of what we think is good choices and bad choices, and why we think so. So we'll be reviewing a couple of lists. So 5 of them were sent in from other people, not outside or not foul gamers, and then a couple of people from foul, including myself, Jake, Matt Beasley, which is the leading mid South Atlantic, Mid Atlantic.
Actually Collins right now, but yeah, he's a strong player.
Okay, Colin, and then he's in second or whatever.
If we can talk
But
about Collins, let's good spin on YouTube.
mhm.
So yeah, man, haven't done a
so
podcast in a while, so
so we haven't been on since the new Wood Elves come out. So really quick, our impression on Wood Elves. My impression is they're really good at killing everybody that's really good right now, except for demons. So they're really good
yeah,
at killing armor, elves, blah blah blah.
yeah, I think they can still lose to Dark Elves Woodsman online, but they're strong. They're an okay book. I don't think that they're going to factor too much into brawlers, just because they're more about taking some points off the board and then just keeping more alive. They're more of like a comped army that's going to be probably strong because it's really not like you're going to drop the hammer on them and they can get small wins. But I don't see them really effective for brawlers from this perspective. And in general, the trees don't seem very strong, but the shooting seems pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Just real quick, name your top 3 armies for brawlers.
Oh, for
Because I, I,
brawlers.
I know mine, but I wonder
Going
what.
into this, it's hard. Maybe after we talk about it for a little bit, I'll have a better idea. But think I don't know. It seems like warriors and demons are probably best at taking miles off the table. So I think those would be the leading two. After that, I mean, with true line of sight, it's kind of a toss-up. I guess anything that can really just go get after points and take a beating while just giving it. So I don't know. Sustained comp. It's hard for me to say my third. What about you?
Mine were warriors, dark elves, high elves.
Really? Yeah, I guess when
Yeah.
you add special characters, it matters too. I don't know all of them too well, but I don't think Dark Elves are terribly strong, but maybe.
I think a couple key lists are gonna do really well, just because of how much like center mass the dark elves can put out. And we'll go over one of the lists that I think will either win the tournament or do top 10. So, but depends on the player. If he falls short, then he falls short.
Yeah, man. I agree with you, and nothing's really dropped out of my mind. I mean, playing Empire, I mean, I think that could be a strong book just because it can deal with a lot of stuff. But I think it's sometimes is a little slow to get the objectives that I think are going to be very important, as we'll talk about later. And I don't know if I'm in love with it in like every matchup that I've seen lately. So I don't know. I don't think it will get these 5,000 point wins, but we'll see.
Mhm. So, for those people that don't know, Brawler's Bash is based off the Carnage system. Is 3,000 points. The way you score it is not the differential; it's just how much you kill alongside bonus objectives. So your victory point score is all that matters. So this encourages semi-questionable play about like where you want to shove and where you want to commit your troops to, and it's also reflected in some of the lists. Like one guy, a Molorian who's well-known YouTube is saying, "I'm just going to bring all trolls because people have to come kill them anyway. So like, why do I care about being tactical with them, even if they fail stupid or whatever?" And I think that's like a good idea, but I think it's also a really bad idea because like trolls have their other weaknesses like leadership 4. So if you get flanked, you're just gone. But there's the lists reflect this system and why they might be what they are. So getting into it, I want to thank Ben and Tom for running this again. They also sent in their lists just in case they like if they were playing, this is what they would run. So I also know from Ben that there are no Beastmen at this tournament this year, which is very unfortunate because I think they could do okay. But hey, the Beastmen are the worst book right now. So
Yeah, they just don't have a lot of access to mobile fortitude.
and they just can't. It's such a toss up for taking points with them that you're just going to get blown off the table by better stuff, so whatever. But I'm going to share um, Ben's list first for what he said he would take. So going down the list here. So I have Ben's beautiful Brawler Bash list. So his lords would be two Great Greys, one on Death, one on Shadow, both level 4. And then one of them, so they're both pretty good. I think Shadow and Death there is what your choice lures are. I think having Miasma, and also this is a Herdstone list, so you're going to have a lot of dice. And he also has a Beast Lord with the regular Ramhorn Helm, 1-up rerollable. He's got Sword of Might, Potion of Strength. So he runs a very similar list to what I think I would run, and I have ran with my Beastmen. He's got the Herdstone, he's got 3 Bray Shamans, 2 of them are Shadow level 1s, he's got a Herdstone, got a Spell Scroll, got a Power Stone, one of them's level 1 Beast. And he's got 2 Wargors, one with the BSB, Beast Banner, and then another one with the Black and Plate to give that unit a little bit of MR and also some ward saves against fire, but hey, he's just there for support. And then he's got also in his core, he's got 2 units of 38 core, or 1 unit of 35, 1 unit of 38.
Why do you run 2 level 1 shadows?
Because what the Herdstone does is for every wizard within 6 inches, you get an extra
I know
power.
what the Herdstone does, but like, what are you spamming with them? Why wouldn't you just run
Miasma.
Okay.
Miasma goes off on a 5 for a 48-inch range.
I know what
You can one dice it, 50-50. It's the fact that, like, if you're 10 to 3 or whatever on your power dice, you can just 2 dice Miasma over and over again, and it'll stack. It'll just slow people down or make them weapon skill 0, basically.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense.
Makes also people vulnerable to pit. So, like, if 3 Miasmas go off and then, like, IF pit, like, I just killed whatever I hit. So.
Okay. Good stuff.
The 38 Gores, he's going to put the banner and all that stuff in there. He's got a couple chariots. He's got some Ungors to hold the wizards in the back. He's got some Raiders as redirectors. He's got 3 Razor Gores as redirectors. And he's got 39 Vestigores with a standard discipline. So,
I just want to look at the core real quick. Cause that's the.
So, basically what this list does is it just kind of throws out shadow support magic and maybe some death if it can to kill some characters, as the Gores basically just try and run through everything. The problems with this list is, like, although your magic phases, because he's got 5 wizards, he's plus 5 power dice, which is amazing. But what happens if you roll a 10? You're only getting plus 2, and you're not even channeling. So the problem I've had with this list, because I ran this list at 2,400 points, is if you roll high for your Winds of Magic, you've wasted so many points, and also people can counter your spells. Because, like, you can't be one-dicing spells and be assured that it's going to go off. So the problem with this is that you sometimes just, it's just so magic roll dependent. And
well, you played it in the win-loss draw. You played it at Coastal Carnage, right? So
I played it in the win-loss draw.
I think when you have to fight this, it's a little better.
It's a little bit better, but I still.
I guess
it's the same problem with, like, if you don't roll the right magic phase, like, a lot of your points are going down the drain.
Does he not have Crown of Command on one of his heroes?
No.
That's also a weird decision. Yeah,
so that's the other thing.
Today was successful. The ogres start coming out. I mean, I think in like this area where you have to engage, these rank and file armies will actually do kind of okay because they have a lot of. But
the problem I see with this army is, like, it's so unforgiving if something goes wrong, and if something goes wrong early, you're just gonna get tabled.
What do you mean goes wrong? I like making a long charm. It seems like a pretty
like if people have things happen to their main blocks, like your main block rolls 10 and gets run down or whatever.
I mean, leadership off the board, I guess it would be like the
leadership off the board is the problem, because if something goes wrong with the BSB or the general, the rest of your army is going to break its leadership 7.
So. I think a lot of people bring Hellcans to this tournament. I don't know if it's a Warriors type thing.
You're going to see death, so you're going to see Doom and Darkness a lot.
Yeah, I think it's a solid Beastman list. I'm trying to look at what I would do if I was playing Beastman there. The 2 blocks of Gore, I guess, are okay, but it doesn't have like a lot of characters go in them, so it looks like 1 block will just like die, but maybe it's just clearing stuff.
Overall, I think it's a fun list. I think it's good, but I don't think it'll win. I think it's like a 3 and 2 at best.
Yeah, and not having like it's good that it's level 4 death, but like it's hard to get like a purple sun when it's just like a guy on foot that even matters. Like and
you're not being aggressive with him usually.
Yeah, Yeah, I guess that's probably why people didn't bring Beastmen into it. There's just unless I would have brought just all fighty characters if I did Beastmen, just big blocks of Bestigor, but
Yeah, I think the right decision would have been 2 blocks of Bestigor and just go all out with the standards like Totem of Rust because a lot of people bring in armor. So like your Bestigor just shred that monstrous cab because they're -5.
yeah, that sounds a lot better.
So
All right, what's the next? Did you want to talk about Malorian's list at all? I mean, he did it on YouTube, but
well, I don't know Malorian's exact list. I just know that he's bringing a lot of trolls, but I know the 3 YouTube celebrities. Once Bitten, I know Chad, I know Malorian's list, and I know STC's list to a reasonable amount. Basically, they're all Chad's bringing the most balanced. Um, Malorian's bringing in heavy troll skew, so he doesn't have a dispel scroll.
Orcs and Goblins matters, so it's not even a Throg, so, which is like even weirder. But
so it's leadership for trolls. So if the general dies, that army's just gonna fall apart because
wizard, right? With like the wizarding hat.
I believe so, but like
I'm sniped and like the army's done.
I see like that's such a skew list that if something goes wrong, it can go wrong very quickly. And like I said, like yes, trolls, like I have to kill them, but like if I hit them in the flank with something that just doesn't bleed wounds, then I'm just gonna win by 1, and you're on a 4.
Yeah, like even Empire's usually a really bad matchup there, but like I have a 6 block Academies, like if I at least can get around it, like I'm pretty sure they can start wrecking it.
If you can hit it in the flank, you're gonna run down those trolls.
Yeah, and even in the front of flaming, like it's whatever. But yeah, I mean it's definitely an interesting list, and I think we'll go what he said, and he just want to have fun. So I think it'll be fun to play like against a list like that. But
I think it'll be fun, and I think it'll be something new that people. And the biggest thing about these lists is like I think people will sometimes panic against something like that.
Yeah, and then just start
and then they just make mistakes and they get run over. But the next I see him doing about 3 and 2 as well.
And what's Sustainable Center bring, and then Chad's bringing whatever.
Chad's is up online. Is bringing the Call Friends. He's bringing basically exactly what you're bringing, just an Empire list. He's bringing Life Magic though with Call Friends.
Yeah,
I believe.
He's bringing Life Magic. Yeah, from the
I don't think he's going to
line, but he might change it. So I don't know. He's bringing Empire, and it's gonna have Call Friends in it, which is
it's the standard. Like balance.
We'll talk about him a little bit more when we get to my list, and then what's Sustainable Center running?
He's bringing the Peg, Flying Circus Bretonia, which is very interesting because I think it's a very good list for this system.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I think it has a lot of good matchups. So like a lot of high elves, you can just shred. The bolt throwers you can take off as quickly as possible. Your trebuchets do a lot of damage.
It'd be effective against Dark Elves too, I'd even imagine.
Dark Elves it does very well against, depending upon what they're running. There's a couple lists in here. The one list we're going to cover, I think, would run it over, but that's like a very skew list, and it's something that he's been working on, and not a lot of people will be able to run because of the models required. Mm-hmm. So that's one of them. Yeah. So I think he will be around 3 and 2 as well, but I think his score will be higher, or he might even go 4-1.
It'll be interesting if Bretonia can get a lot of points. I think there's another army kind of like Wood Elves where they're made for more of a comp system or something where it's just like you don't have to play for as big of wins, but we'll see. Just because I think they don't really fight sustainably, so it's like you can lose big blocks really quick and then not have an answer really to take points after turn.
That is the one thing I worry about with Bretonia is like after that charge, you're relying on a few characters to hold your line.
But the flying pegs make it a little bit different, I think. So.
The flying pegs help out a lot, which is why I think instead of a 2 and 3, I think it's a 3 and 2 or a 4 and 1.
Yeah, cool. All right, man. Let's move on to the next list. We actually have.
Okay, so Tom is up next. So Tom is the other TO, and Tom sent us a very interesting list for ogres. So he sent us an MSU ogre list. Mm-hmm. So he has a blank tyrant, a slaughtermaster. Which is kitted out to fight with the Armor of Destiny, Sword of Anti-Heroes, Tracer Shard, Iron Fist, Heavy Armor. He's got... Oh, I'm sorry, no, that was the Tyrant's loadout.
Yeah.
The Slaughtermaster has gone more defensive with Potion of Toughness. He took Lore of Great Maul, he took the Spell Scroll, took Talisman of Preservation.
I hate the Lore of Maul, but other than that, pretty standard build. I like the Potion of Toughness for 1 round.
So, also what he went with was he took 2 Bruisers and 2 Butchers and a Hunter. The Hunter is very questionable.
Oh
So
no,
I
I think
think
Hunter's doing well, but it's more a comp choice than a thing.
well, later on, I think this is more a Southern Assault list because at Brawlers, I just see the Hunter getting blown off, and I see a lot of these characters getting
Or is he
blown
gonna be on
off.
Stonehorn or something?
Yeah. So what he does is he's got a bunch of tools on a lot of these characters, but they're all kitted out to do pretty well. But the thing is, he's then taking for his core, he's taking units of 4 ogres.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I don't, and he's taking 1/6 Iron Gut unit. The
Yeah.
reason I don't like this is because of what it does to other armies as it impacts them. Because what it does is it makes them just slow down, make sure they can't you can't charge them, and they're just going to shoot you.
Wait, the Hunter doesn't go on a Stonehorn, does it? Or does it go in these 2 packs of
No,
10?
it goes with the 2 packs of 10 saber tusks, which is a very interesting choice.
Yeah, man. I think he's kind of thinking like, I don't know, like it would be really good. It seems like this would be good versus Wood Elves, maybe. I don't know. I mean,
What I see this good against is a gun line that you can just
yeah,
shove on, and they
yeah.
can't really like. Yes, the cannons are good, but like they're not going to kill the characters because you can throw them in the iron guts for the lookout serves for the first couple rounds, and then like if they have other type of gun line, they can't kill 3 units of 4 ogres very quickly if they just shove on you. And with the saber tusks, they're pretty fast. The problem with this list is I see the saber tusks as free points, even though there's 2 units of 10. Toughness 4 with no saves is so easy to kill in this meta right now, considering how many elves are out there. Because almost every elf player should be taking 4 bolt throwers, and those 4 bolt throwers will literally kill a unit of saber tusks with their multi
Um,
shot.
Yeah, this definitely the Warlords are definitely an issue for the ogres, and I think that I mean this list is actually interesting. I think it's fine just because the meta is moving towards having a lot of units, and that's what his email kind of said. And I think that you get the charge on Dark Elves, and you get that gut if you can figure out how to get the Gut Star into the Warlocks or whatever all his points are at. Like I think this has like a little bit of life. But I think when you're looking at brawlers, the best way to do ogres is like basically when I first started.
I think just double gut star.
Yeah, just 2 cannons and then 2 like gut stars or like a huge thing of man eaters to support that like scouts. You know, like just always getting first 2, like 3 or 4 drops.
Yeah.
And just having like basically everything in your army is like just.
He's also got a giant in this list. He's got no cannons.
No, yeah, and I don't know if this list is for Southern Assault or not. I think this could be.
I think it's more of a Southern Assault list.
Yeah, I think
So,
I would give this like a 12 for comp on Southern Assault.
I would give it like a 16.
Yeah, sure. I think the biggest thing with ogres is just not having immune to psych and being so weak against death magic could be hard. You basically have to have a list that like if it's in combat, it's winning.
That's the other thing is if I can kill the hunter pretty quickly, those saber tusks become leadership 4, and I just have to force a panic check and they're gone, and they're not going to rally.
Not necessarily easy to kill like a 4-wound type hero, but
not necessarily, but like if you have 2 cannons, which Southern Assault is uncomped, and I'm sure you will face 2 cannons.
Yeah.
And not too hard.
Yeah, so I guess this, but I would grade this lowly for a brawlers type list. I think the best way to do ogres for brawlers is guarantee yourself 4 turns and just have blenders everywhere. So what's the next list we have actually for brawlers?
So the next brawlers list is actually a foul list, and it's from Matt Beasley.
Okay, right on. Do you have the actual list, or do you?
I have the actual list. So Matt is bringing a very interesting list. So his general is the Dreadlord with 1 of rerollable. He's got a level 4 Shadow, and the Lord has the Dragon Helm, Giant Blade, Dawnstone, and he's got Cloak Shield, so he gets 1 of rerollable. He doesn't have a ward save, except for against fire, but he is Strength 7. He's rerolling to hit. He's rerolling 1s to wound. He just crushes people.
Yeah, he's a tough.
And then he's on a Dark Steed, so of course he's mounted.
He's your standard like Wonder Lord. I mean, you see him in all elf lists, sometimes on the Grandmaster.
Now, the interesting choice here is he only has 1 wizard in this army, and it's a Supreme Sorceress on Shadow, and she's level 4. And she also has the Black Amulet and the Dispel Scroll, and she's also mounted. So, me and Matt talked about this a lot, about why you take the Black Amulet, and it was very interesting, because what he does is he says, I don't mind taking challenges against non-ward save characters, because the Black Amulet causes a wound per ward save he makes, so it's really scary for people to put a character in the combat with her, because like if he just gets lucky and rolls 3 ward saves, he just killed your character for free. So yeah, it's a very interesting choice.
Like I don't know. Like after facing it, I didn't think it was that hard to deal with, but again, I have banishment, so I mean, it's something that I definitely think makes choices, makes the block sustainable. And I mean, I don't think you ever need that much magic with Dark Elves because he's running 2 freaking bricks of like Warlock. So
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. So for heroes, he's got a standard master on a peg, with the 1-up rerollable, or just a 1-up. I'm sorry, just a 1-up. He's got the dread to the whatever the cloak of Twilight. So he's got the 3-up ward. He's got one master that's his BSB. He's going to be just a 1-up, and he's got a great weapon, and he's in with the Dark Steeds as well. He's got a Death Hag on the Cauldron, Blink. He's got 10 Dark Shards with full command and the Flaming Banner, which is very interesting. I think it's a great choice to have just a little bit of Flaming to take off the Flaming in their units. He's got 34 Witch Elves to accompany that the Cauldron. 2 units of 5 Dark Riders with shields. I don't know if he has bows or they come with bows or the crossbows or whatever, but I don't think he has them. If he does, then I'm not sure what
they come with crossbows. I played against them 2 days ago.
Okay.
The crossbows.
Oh, and the Master also has the Obsidian Lodestone, so he has MR 4-up.
Yep.
In that, and with his PSP, which is very nice.
Yep. So his block has a 2-up ward versus magic. I know.
So he's got 4 characters that are running around. One of them's on the peg. He's got the Cloak of Twilight, so he's really hard to deal with, just because 3-up ward against range is really strong. The Master has MR, so he's got a 4-up ward by himself. The Wizard and the General will have a 4-up ward against magic as well. And the just how strong these characters hit for how tough they are, because 1-up armor, even though they're toughness 3, 1-up armor is really hard to get through. Especially against elves, which are shredding you before you go.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think the characters is the strength of this list. I mean, did you get through it all, or were we at court? You got everything?
I'm at the 3 Reaper Boltors, so that's pretty standard. He's got 9 Shades, and then the fun stuff. The Shades have great weapons, by the way, but whatever. Mm-hmm. He's got 2 units of 12 Doomfire Warlocks with champs. So basically what he's doing is he's got 3 centered blocks. One's the Witch Elves, one's Warlocks with the General, and then one's Warlocks with the BSB and the Mage.
You go up to the Witch Elf. Mm-hmm. But you can keep talking though.
Yeah. So basically what he does when he plays against you is he shoves all these things in your face, and he's like, well, you can deal with maybe 1, maybe 2, but you're not going to deal with all 3 because they have 4-up wards and 5-up wards. You just can't kill them. He's basically made his army demons.
Well, I think there's a couple ways to approach Dark Elves. I think that this is like the middle of 2 roads. There's one road where you just load this Witch Elf block up with Hellbrawn and all the like stupid like.
We've discussed that, and I don't think it's that strong because of the frenzy at -3.
Yeah, but the brawler system just makes where you have a 1,000-point block. Like, is someone really not going to try and fight it? I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting, and then the whole. So that's one tune of thinking that I've heard from like Ira and different couple people that like you bring like a really strong Witch Elf block. Mm-hmm. The other train of thinking is that you could do kind of more of just the double Warlock boss, which he's kind of going towards, but instead just have a bunch of masters like that actually do fight. Like, I don't think this character setup like one will be like a strong block, but the other one's just 14 Warlocks, or 12 Warlocks, which granted like a lot of things can't kill. But if he added like 3 or 4 more masters on Dark Steeds, like he could have just run a double Death Star, and like it would have been, you wouldn't have like really probably had the Witch Elves. You would have probably just brought like different more fast cav. Like,
yeah,
and I think that
you dropped the Cauldron for it. But
his choice to take the Cauldron, but not have the character, so just it only be like a 400 like point brick of just death, like, and then just have the rest of the list be fast cav, I think is the interesting middle balance. So yeah, that's kind of what he's thinking. And then the shadow magic to support the elves basically makes it that you don't need Hellbrawn because you can just irresistible Ockhams. I mean,
yeah,
works just
basically what most of the foul guys did. The ones that I worked on lists with, we try to go for non-skew super balanced lists because we try to prefer to have 0 bad matchups and then take a couple points off the top. Like, yes, you can take the super Hellbrawn unit, but like, you're going to lose 1 out of your 5 games because you're going to face a counter. Whereas you take something like this, and like if the Cauldron goes down, it's not the end of the world because you still have 14 or 24 Warlocks backing you up.
Yep, I 100% agree, and I think that like, that's the stuff that did last year. Like you were playing the Nurgle Demons, Nick was playing what Collins Mullins is kind of running, which is just a bunch of monsters for Warriors of Chaos, and then you have Furbush with the White Line Death Star. I think when you look at this stuff, like it's a SKU list. Like when people feed it or play against it wrong, yeah, it gets 5,000 points, which is why the average winner last year had 20,000. But I think like when you have like a balanced list, like you can like I know for a fact I actually can probably attack that White Line Death Star with my Empire list. But I also know that I like have good matchups versus demons and dark elves because of the balance I put into it.
But the reason you take the balance is even though you take the balance so you don't have any bad matchups, but the trade-off there is you usually
a lot of people.
Well, that's the problem is when you take balanced lists, you're not going to max out points most of the time. You're shaving like 500. My estimate for my list was I'm shaving 500 plus points off every round because I'm taking a more balanced list.
Yeah, instead of the Nurgle wall, you're going to have something a little different. But do we have any other? We have a couple more lists to talk about, right? So,
yeah. So that was the first list.
Think that Dark Elves will be competitive. Do you think it will be this Dark Elf list that's competitive, or do you think?
I think this will be the top Dark Elf list because it's the most control and it's probably the best Dark Elf player in the Mid-Atlantic.
He probably should I think, by the way, over Shadow in hindsight. I don't know if he needs Shadow to buff the witches, but that's my only impression of it.
The problem is, again, I think the player, no offense, is just too bad at this type of system, and he's too slow to utilize the scoring system. Okay. I think he'll finish like 10 to 20 because of how he plays and how the list plays. Because like you can, it totally depends on the people you play. Because like some people,
we're here judging lists. What do you think this list is? Do you think this is a good type of brawlers list? I think it can get objectives well.
I think it is.
It's pretty decent, but
however, one of the things that he's noticed when people play it is some people are too scared of it to shove on you, because this list needs for you to shove on it. So, and some people are just super scared of it. Because one of our other players was playing Vampire Counts, he was playing Hex Race, and like Hex Race are awful for this list because he has no magical attacks. However, like when you play against like the Hex Race, if you don't have magical attacks, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna just shove on it. You're gonna sit back and try and dissect the Hex Race before you move in on the army, which slows the game down, and for brawlers isn't a good thing.
Yep.
However, with 24 Warlocks, if you face your opponent and your opponent knows what these Warlocks can do, they're probably going to slow the game down. They're going to try and sit back, pick off the Warlocks before they try and engage. And again, it slows the game down, and it takes points off of both of your
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, look, like when people were saying 20,000 around on the forums when I was asking yesterday, like, I just don't get it. Like, I don't know. Maybe within our club, though, I haven't been seeing a lot of 4,000s. I mean, Nick and Chin's list, I think, can force it a little bit, but I think when you, like, I just don't understand how you feed 5,000 points to someone, but maybe, I don't know. That just doesn't. I mean, this list definitely can go get points, and it can go do objectives well. So I think it's a good list for Bat.
All right, so back to the list. So that was the TOs, that was all the YouTube people, and that was the foul list from our club. Now, we have a couple submissions from other people that are just going to the tournament. This first one was from I Am Jack, and he sent it to me over online, and he's trying to take a balanced MSU high elf list.
Okay.
So I like his thinking because it's like I said, a little bit more, it's more balanced, but it's less skew. So again, you have more control over the game, but you're probably taking instead of taking like the White Line Horde where you win 4 games, 3,000 points, but lose 1-0, you're going to get like 2,500 point wins the entire time.
Well, yeah, I think 30 shooting for every round. I think if you average that, fine. I don't think you'll need 4,000 this year just because of how competitive our region's gotten. I think better players don't give up as much points. So
yes. But for what he took a very balanced list. He took a Lore Master with Book of Hoth and 4 board.
Okay.
Very nice because it gives you answers for everything. The all SIGs is a great way to run the magic, and with the book, a lot of those SIG spells are very easy to 2-dice, especially with the book. And it's very strong.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, he's got a Mage level 1 high magic, Dispel Scroll, Iron Curse Icon, just to sit back. He's got a Noble and a Griffin as his just strike offense. He's got he's relatively cheap. He's about a 300 point Noble. I don't really like this Noble because he doesn't have any ward saving.
What's Sense and Streak those buffs to the Griffin?
Swift Sense is always strikes first with the Griffin. I don't know what Swooping Strike is though.
Okay, I'm surprised at 325 points. Is this kit somewhere? There's for Starlance? No
Hmm.
TS?
Yeah,
I guess it's that much.
but it's he's really scary. So like, I guess this is the thing that you shoot at first. But he doesn't have any cannon defense, which I know will be a brawler, so that's questionable.
Yeah, seems like a weird thing. And
I would have just changed out the Charm Shield instead of the Enchant Shield for the
yeah,
same price, and at least avoided one cannonball, even if you
yeah,
lose a
but he
quick
kind of works
armor.
like a Twilight guy in general. Like he just comes in there and rips up stuff with his Griffin and his Starlance. But what's the BS? So then he has a BSB on Horse with Banner of Eternal Flame.
Which I do like having the Banner of Eternal Flame on your mount because you get to change it out between units. Makes it a lot more versatile.
Hmm.
I like him mounted. The core, 23 Seaguard. So normally I don't like Seaguard because they seem like a waste of points where instead you could just get more archers. However, with brawlers, I think this might be the right play because you want a condensed, like versatile unit. You want to be able to have that unit go forward and sometimes be able to fight with small stuff. Because like for a lot of these objectives, this will be the unit that follows up the rear and claims most objectives. So that's fine. He's got 2 units of Valerian Reavers, pretty standard. He's got 8 Silver Helms, so those 8 Silver Helms are going to go with the PSB. They're going to run around. They're going to cause havoc. They're really annoying to deal with in the core. So that's nice. And then the special is where he really shines with the MSU. So he brings 19 Swordmasters full command banner of the World Dragon. So I unfortunately am more of a Banner of the World Dragon White Lions guy because you just get more saves, you get more mileage out of your White Lions, and like most people consider White Lions scarier than Swordmasters. So that's my one complaint there. 15 Phoenix Guard is very solid with command. They're hard to kill. They're very annoying.
You probably put the level 1 high in them too, just to spam and get the 304 off.
And that's where the level 1 high goes, yep, to get a 3 aboard. And you got 20 White Lions, standard musician, but no special banner on them. So I'm guessing that's going to go with the War Master so that he can buff the unit, but with no real magical defense, 20 White Lions is pretty easy to tear through with magic. So that's why I don't like it. Because I'm more scared of those 20 White Lions than I am 19 Sword Masters for most of my lists.
Yeah.
And
he doesn't have any shoot. He doesn't have any bolt throwers, or no?
He does have 2 Bolt Throwers.
Okay. And a frost.
2 Bolt Throwers, 1 Frostheart Phoenix, and 2 Great Eagles. And so he brings a very, very diverse, solid list. But I think a few minor tweaks, such as changing the banner to the White Lions, and I think that's honestly all I would do if to go with the super balanced list because he's gonna have those 3 units because this is brawlers all become super annoying because people have to kill them. So they become super effective if your opponent doesn't have a lot of shooting. So basically what I think he needs to do to win his games is he needs to clear his opponent's shooting and make sure that his Frostheart Phoenix, his Griffin guy, and all his units get there.
Yeah, I think that like people both Dark Elves, Wood Elves, and Dwarves. And I mean, a list like this, like it's MSU, so whereas versus Wood Elves, it'll be okay because there's not like a huge like thing for them to shoot at, and the Phoenix has a lot of quick elements in it. I mean, like it's good to spread out your points versus these new books, and even Dark Elves, I do definitely first. But I think when you see stuff like Warriors and Demons, or just like big box of Ogres, like with like some of the other scary stuff, you get. I mean, these MSU lists probably struggle because they just keep dying to like shredding Death Stars. They really don't have great answers to. But in general, I like this list a lot. I think a list like kind of like this one, Masters, where it just had a little bit of everything. So I never doubt High Elves out. I mean, he does really has a couple weird choices in with the Griffin and the banner on the Sword Masters, but I think it could work. I mean, it's definitely that has some good mobile fortitude. So I think these objectives are so big. So I'm just looking at that first and foremost. But so I think it's solid.
Yep. So I think again this list will fall about a 3 and 2 because I think he will run into a couple problems with like the problem I see the most of is going to be leadership checks because if he gets spread out he's going to fail a couple even though he's 9.
A unit of 8 Silver Helms. That's not hard to kill at all.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how everything works with his movement because he has like basically 6 units. So we'll see.
Okay, and then
that'll be an interesting game.
Mm-hmm.
So next up we have Legions of Odin, which is Joel Flint. So Joel Flint is a pretty active guy on this Mid-Atlantic tournament scene. I've played him, you've played him.
Mm-hmm.
I won, you didn't.
Yep.
So Joel's playing pretty much the same list you are with the Light Coven with no level 4.
I mean, yeah, I mean that part of it's similar. The rest of the list is 100% different. Just like me and Bunspin don't really have similar lists, but there's similar elements. But
No, it's Empire, so whatever. I
yeah,
don't
they
know.
might as well be the same. But keep going. So you can go through the list, and then we can talk.
So Joel's got the Arc Lecter on the War Altar, and then he's got 3 wizards, 2 level 2s, 1 level 1, all light. He's got Dispel Scroll, Power Stone, blah blah blah. So he's basically going for the banishment spam. He's got a captain BSB, and he's got a master engineer. So then in his core he's got 50 halberdiers and 1 detachment of halberdiers, 1 detachment of crossbows, 10 archers, and then another detachment of archers. So basically what this army is, just from that, is going to be a big massive infantry in the middle, supported by smaller units on the outside with banishment. Because right behind it, he's got 3 units of 5 pistoliers, which are great because they can go capture objectives. They can be annoying. They're fast cav. They can redirect, slow people down. He's got 2 units of Demigryph Knights, 3 each, which are very nice. They're very solid. Demigryph Knights will usually go point for point at least. And then the rare, he's got a Hurricanum, a Hellblaster, and then 2 Steam Tanks. Yay, Steam Tanks.
Yeah. I only went with 1 this time, but I can definitely see why I went with 2.
The big thing I noticed is no cannons. So,
Yeah.
but he does, even though he has the 2 Steam Tanks, I don't consider Steam Tanks as good as cannons for what they can do, because most players that play against you can force the Steam Tank to make that cannon shot invalidate the rest of the ability of the Steam Tank.
Yeah, and true line of sight, like a normal cannon is substantially better than a steam tank cannon, just because like when you get the move and shoot, it's a little limited. You don't want to bring it in. I know there'll be a lot of force on boards like at Brawlers, so it's just like it's a little bit frustrating to work with the steam tank cannon, which is why I only went. I think the most interesting thing about I like it is 2 pistoliers with Baron Musician. I think that'll be great for the getting the fortitude, and I didn't think they could take banners, but I guess they can. I think the biggest choice is what war you went with Empire. Obviously, I think Onespin went with Lithe. You kind of do like a Life Death Star type thing, where you just kind of keep grinding through people, and then just Dwellers of stuff you don't want to fight off the board. Or you could go with Light. I like Light a lot, just because I think ASF is really big to buff your demis and different units with, especially versus elves. And then I think the Banishment takes care of demon stuff you don't usually want to fight and you need the cannons for, and it opens up the list a little bit more. So I think it's a solid list. I don't like infantry that much, but I basically have a version of this list, so it's solid though. I think it can do well and has some fortitude. It's a decent Empire list, but it's really well rounded, which I like. I kind of based mine off it after I went to that mini tournament with it.
Yep. The problem I see with this list is that it seems a little bit too slow, because the 3 Demigryph Knights, the 2 units of 3 Demigryph Knights seem like the only thing fast enough to really catch anything.
Yeah, and units of 2 Demigryph Knights are just like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like you kill one and then it's just like, what?
Like, I see this having a lot of trouble against like an Orc and Goblin gun line, because they're going to outshoot you. They're going to shoot the Demigryphs off first, and then you just have infantry, and their infantry is better than your infantry.
I think you could have dropped a stank and got a lot more demis and probably been better off, but I don't know. That's the only thing I would have done differently.
I think the stink we've described as perfectly as it doesn't allow you to win games, it just keeps your opponent from winning games.
Yeah,
so
it's scary across the table, and some people don't know how to deal with it. One thing I will say is, because you're saying Matt doesn't have a lot of magic, I don't think you need a lot of magic at Brawlers. I mean, I know you can just dice spells and insta-win, but like I don't think that's a solid. I think the magic phase is probably the worst phase to rely on Warhammer. And I think something like a Covenant of Light doesn't really need. I mean, defensively, yeah, you kind of want it, but as long as you save the Dispel Scroll for that crucial time, a lot, like versus you have a really magic heavy list, and it didn't. Versus Patty, like I felt okay with the level 2, so I'll just say that because of all the channels you get, and I think a lot of people look at this and think that's a weakness, but I think you can get away with it in Empire.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I give this list again like a 3 out of 2.
Oh, you think it'll go 3 and 2? I think I give it
a 3 and 2.
1,
Maybe
now, but it's Empire
maybe 2 and 3.
More so than
I see 2 and 3 if something happens with the Steam Tanks. Like if the Steam Tanks are basically going to control his fate for these games.
Yeah, him going with the second one over me, I think, is definitely a commitment to what they do.
Hmm.
Slow list. We'll see how people play versus it. I think people have to come in Brawlers though, so maybe
Yeah.
good.
And then the last one we have is Shimmer Gloom's Orc and Goblin list.
Hmm.
So as people, he's posted it online before, so he's got a pretty standard Orc and Goblin list. Basically for 2,400 points. It's basically for ETC. My team ran a very similar list to this, except what he did was he added trolls.
Hmm.
So he's got the 2 lavas, he's got the 2 doom divers, 2 manglers, a small squig unit for MSU, just AoE damage. Got 3 wolf riders for control. He's got 20 night goblins. With fanatics to just be annoying. He's got 40 savage biggins, the big unit. 2 wolf rider big bosses, which again are very nice redirectors. And he's got an orc shaman, night goblin BSP, and then savage orc and black orc. So make sure that animosity doesn't screw him over. But the big thing for this list is he's got 1 unit of 18 trolls. So unlike other lists, I think this is kind of like super in between skew and not, because like it's besides the 18 trolls, it's super balanced for what a normal orc and goblin army plays. So it's not the 1,000 Knight Goblin, it's not just all fighty orcs, it's the pretty good balance of war machines, the big Death Star kind of, and then a lot of redirectors and small units. Now, the 18 trolls I see a huge problem with, as you have 2 hordes that are like 18 trolls is what, 6 times 40, so 240 millimeter wide unit,
Mm-hmm.
and 180 deep. That's a huge unit to handle,
Mm-hmm.
and maps can just screw you over if you
Like
get
having
like
an
an
impassable.
impassable. Yeah, imagine an impassable in the middle of the table, and you're just in trouble
Yep.
because it's going to be so hard to maneuver that unit. And that's the only problem I see with this army. Because with 2 hordes like that, it's going to be a nightmare if you run into a bad map. And that's just completely out of your control. Like, it doesn't even matter who you play. If you pull a bad map, you're probably going to lose.
Like orcs and goblins are the perfect. It's skewed just in the nature of the army. Like this army will beat like 90% of the Empire armies it plays on average here. Like it's just such a rough army for Empire because it just like has so many counters.
It's great against warriors, too.
Yeah, somewhat against warriors.
Try and blow the, oh, it doesn't have any, bolt doors. Never mind.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, so it's good versus warriors. I wouldn't say great. I don't think.
I was thinking that with the 6 bolt doors that they normally take, you just blow the demon prince off, and then like you don't have to worry about purple sun anymore.
Yeah, you trade the troll
But
for that.
yeah,
So it's just in the nature of orcs and the fact that the rolls can go bad, but like it's like a good list. Like and I think for brawlers, you need to kind of like I kind of wish I didn't go more skew because I think that sometimes you just gotta say screw it. There'll be bad matchups. If I get the good ones, that's the only way I'm winning a 100-man tournament anyways. So I think that's kind
that
of
might be the case.
trying to predict a lot of Empire, a lot of just slow stuff that he could control the board and just knock off the war machines. So I think you would. I think it's a good list. I think I'm impressed with Shimmer Gloom. He's not bringing the Ragnarok anymore. Pretty good.
I think it'll go 4-1 if he doesn't have a bad map. If he has a bad map, I think it'll go 3-2.
Yeah, he has a crown of command. The only thing is, if you can kill that orc war blocks, the army starts to crumble. I really wish I took Death's Magic now. It looks like people are just hinging on these one characters with high leadership, and the rest of the army is flimsy. Because if you get that off the board, you're pretty.
You basically netted the trolls and all the goblins.
Yeah, and the orcs. He doesn't really have fight one, so pretty cool. What else we got?
That's it for all the submitted lists, so now it's just mine and yours.
Okay, and you want to talk about Nyx, or did he not give permission?
Nyx is badly formatted. So
He sent it over though.
He sent it to me, but he sent it in a bad format, so I'm just not going to do it.
Well, let's discuss it real quick, just because I mean, if
so Nyx running like it wasn't like an updated version. I'm pretty sure it was missing a lot of things, and like either he mistyped a lot of things or something. It seemed like he did it in a hurry, and it wasn't complete.
Mm-hmm.
So Nyx another foul guy. He's basically running a high elf bus with dragon princes, 10 dragon princes with the banner, with Tyrion on mount, and then he's also running a secondary silver helm bus with 2 frost phoenixes. So basically he's taking a high elf army that he's just going to shove down people's throats, and he's going to say deal with it.
Yeah. when he told me about Tyrion, I was like, oh, cool. Like, this is just a really fighty high for it. And he's like, no, he comes back to life on 2 up or like a 2 up or something. I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, how is that a
Oh
real
yeah,
character?
he's
Like, I don't
taking
understand that.
that's not Tyrion, it's Caradhran. He's taking 3 Frost Phoenixes basically. Caradhran on the Frost Phoenix.
I think he put the Karadra in the bus. He's running 2 buses now. Last time he told me. Either way, it's just like these
Uh,
special characters just don't make any sense. How do you come back to life on a 2 up? Like, I don't know. Like,
Whatever. He's taking 2 buses with Frost Phoenix support, which is just awful to deal with because he's going to be so fast. It's hard to get away from movement 9 elves and 2 flyer monsters.
the only reason I
So
bring that up is I think he's someone that plays really well in this format, and I think his list is going to win it all. So I just wanted to bring that up just so in advance I could
I
tell
see
you.
it going. I see it going 4-1, but I see something bad happening, and then like again, it's a
I think
eggs and
only demons I think have a chance for like your new demon type list, but I don't even
I
like.
think it's an all the eggs in one basket type of list. So if something goes wrong, it's over.
Yeah,
So
I
like,
want
there's
to
no recovering
for the
from
best
something.
person I saw going into this just because the list is freaking ridiculous. And then Chin's running a bus with 2 Terror guys, so that's just annoying for people. If you don't know in Hex Race, you don't know how to play against that, you're gonna lose. So
Yeah, another vampire count player.
yeah, they both
Standard.
went with
He's
buses.
bringing
I think buses are pretty smart, and I think that it's either you go with like a Death Star type thing, you try and make MSU work, but I don't know if a lot of these armies can make MSU work at Brawlers because your single units have to still fight, so it's kind of weird.
It's interesting. It's an interesting choice to see which one will win, either the Death Star or the MSU, because I think the MSU. I think it'd be a cool poll to see because I think the Death Stars would have a lower win-loss ratio, but I think they would have a higher point total.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
All right, man. So you want to talk about yours first?
you want to do
copied
yours or mine?
Sprag. I don't know. I copied Joel kind of. You copied Sprag completely, so you can go first.
Okay. I'm playing the standard demons that I always bring because I'm boring. So my demons are right here. I'll bring up PDF. So it's easier to say. I'm utilizing the new Exalted Flamers that just came out in the last White Dwarf for demons because I think they are heavily broken. So for my demons, I'm running a Keeper of Secrets, level 4 Shadow, Greater Gift, Double Lesser Gift, 4 Exalted Flamers, 5 units of 10 pink horrors with champs and banners, 2 Skull Cannons, 2 units of 5 Beast of Nurgle with 1 single beast, 2 units of 3 Flamers with 1 champ each, and then 3 Screamers. So that's basically my entire army. So basically what I'm planning on doing is taking Gunline Demons. My Keeper will be taking the Whip. With Shadow Magic, I can have access to Steed of Shadows, so I can throw them in people's faces right away. The 4 Exalted Flamers go with the Flamers, so they can skirmish and march and shoot. And then the 2 cannons, along with the Beast of Nurgle, are a ridiculous front line with pink horror core behind. My army is ridiculously hard to kill. It puts out a lot of damage against high armor, and then like even if the Greater Demon goes down, it still has ways to deal with things. So even though it's Brawlers, there's true line of sight, like cannons will be a problem. You can always put them behind a Beast of Nurgle and make them take the cannon shot, be whatever. And also I'm movement 10, so like if I'm behind and impassable, I have 20 inches of movement to get back into position, along with a Steed of Shadows possibly, so like 40 inches. So I've got quite a bit of maneuverability. I think this is way better than the Nurgle, just Nurgle complete layout because this isn't as vulnerable to just straight up armor, and also it really does well against warriors. And I think the big thing to this tournament will be how well do you deal with warriors.
Really? I don't know. I think how many of the 100 armies do you think will be warriors? I don't think there'll be more than.
Say 20%.
Okay. So you think 20 out of
1 in 5.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if it'll go down from last year. I guess I could see that return out. I think people are starting to choose. It's been out long enough. I think people want to choose new.
It might even be higher than that. I honestly wouldn't be surprised at 25%.
Yeah. So I'll talk about my list, and I just want to talk about some just basic. I'll Q&A you a little bit about what I think will happen at Brawlers, and a couple of opinions on it. But so my list is more or less. It has 2 elements. It has an element that runs at you in fights, and then it has an element that stays behind and makes you run at me and want to fight. So the element that runs at you is I have a semi-night bus, so I have a BSB with a 1 rerollable, other Trickster Shard with 2 aboard versus Flaming, and Carl Fawns with the Gosmiraz on a horse. And that goes in 15 Inner Circle Knights. So, I mean, it doesn't sound threatening at first, but Carl Franz can kill really most things in the game. I mean, it deals with the new Dwarf Lord well, it deals with elves well. I mean, it can deal with any warriors, basically. Like, there's not a lot of things that bus I'm afraid to shove it into. And, I mean, I would kind of wish I had a stored anti-hero guys just in case I go against another bus, but I think that the rest of the list kind of deals with other buses. And then I have 6 Demigryph. Carl Franz can also go in him, or the BSB can also go into him if I'm afraid of the bus getting chaffed up, or if I feel like it's safe for them to be spread out because the enemy doesn't have like snipes or whatever. So that's kind of the thing. You have 6 demis and then 15 knights and then these 2 characters, which work to go offensive. And then the rest of the list kind of just, I mean, it's just really hard to deal. It's just standard kind of Empire stuff that kill everyone. Like I have a Hellblaster, Master Engineer, 2 level 2 lights, 1 level 1 light, War Altar, 40 Halberdiers or Hurricanum. So, I mean, the Halberdiers you don't always want to go into just because I can get, like you saw the other day, like I got them in a place where they were easily killing 5 Beasts in Nurgle. So, I mean, it's like, it's not always an easy backfield to take on just because it's so well supported. And the Hellblaster does really well versus a lot of the new units. So, I don't know. It's kind of like a 2-part list to it. And it has enough, like, I don't think you need a lot of fortitude when my 3 fortitude are 40 Halberdiers, a night bus, and 6 Demigryphs. Like, it's pretty hard for people to deal with that stuff anyways. So I didn't think I needed the mobile fortitude because I felt like I could get my fortitude where I wanted just by fighting through stuff anyways. So that's the list. It kind of just took everything I found good in the Empire book and min-maxed it. So I took like a level 2, level 1 Light Covenant, and then I took all the knights I could and then the best characters I could for cheap. And I mean that's kind of how it turned out. And I mean, I've been happy with it. I get like 2,800 every time, and my opponent gets 2,400 to like 3,000 every time. But I'm just like, this sucks. Like I'm not winning brawlers with this. So I don't know. I think the scenarios I've struggled to do, but I'm getting better at them. Like fleeing a charge for that list is hard because there's like nothing that flees. So I should have probably looked at the pack a little closer when I was designing the list. Which kind of brings me to my first question. Like, how much do you think you need to get off the board every table, and how much do you think you need in scenarios every time? Like, what do you think you should be more focused on as someone that did well at Brawlers last year?
Last year I won Best General at Brawlers. So, and the one thing that I did accomplish was I always won the scenario for every single mission. I didn't always table my opponent, which I didn't think was that critical, and it ended up not being me. So basically what my average was per game was probably about 2,800 average, because I did have one loss, but my loss was like a 2,500. So I probably averaged around 2,800, probably 2,900 off of points. But I maxed out every scenario card that I had, and I also got all but one for my special objective cards. So adding that in, I really averaged like a little bit under 4,000 every game. I think I averaged about 3,900. So based off that, you don't need to table your opponent every time. You need to get pretty close. I would say 3/4 is probably a solid thing, but you need to make sure you get those objective cards and you also get the scenario cards. Because that is honestly, I think I added up the points the other night. Just the scenarios is 6,700 points, which if you perfected all your games, say with standard banners, you're probably going to get 3,300 if you get perfect, and that's like a standard army with 4 banners, general BSB. So just doing the scenarios is a game. Like it's over a game. 6,700 out of your what is that? 5 times 33.
20,000 is the max you can get in like raw points on the battlefield. I thought.
Well, max you can get is 25,000 for your 5 games, but so 6,700 out of your 2,500 max, like that's
20%. So and you play
it's a game.
Yeah.
It's literally a 6 game, is if you do all your scenarios, and that's just the scenarios. That's not even the objective cards. You get another 2,500 from your objective cards. So 10,000 points are sunk into almost 10,000 points are sunk into objectives. So literally a third of your score is objectives. So yes, you need to crush your opponents. Yes, you need to probably get like 3/4. But if you get all the objectives and all the scenarios, that's fine. Like you don't need to table everybody. And that's the big thing. And I don't think a lot of people will go after that as much as they think they should, as they should. And that's why I would like to see a control list that's better at getting 3/4 of your opponent down, not getting the full table, and getting the scenario cards and objective cards will win this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I think the tough thing is also I had a Steam taking a cannon. I don't want to feel like I'm hiding it on my list, but it's obvious. I feel like the thing is like it's so swingy and uncomped, right? Because you have these lures which like have bomb spells, and you have like things that can like just like cannons. Like I did 6 wounds to your greater demon the last time we played. Like that's an extremely swingy thing, but it's an element of Warhammer that happens. Like people shouldn't be bringing out greater demons versus cannons and banishment, but you have to because it's brawlers, and then it's like it's swingy whether you kill it or not. Like I can completely fluff with the cannons, and then you could like wreck my army because obviously there's a weakness there that shouldn't happen. So I think that like me and Matt were playing the other day, and I got off like I had only had 6 dice left. He had 7, and I irresistible banishment. Like he had planned the phase perfectly, where if I didn't get that banishment, he had his witch elves in place to get Occam's next turn. But I killed his mage with the banishment. It's like when you have 6 dice, swinging things happen. So I think going for the scenarios rather than having a battle plan sometimes can be safer because then you don't need to rely on the swinging things happening in combat or in the magic phase. If you get what I'm saying a little bit, because you control it. You don't control.
That is the big thing about brawlers.
What?
Is brawlers is probably going to be like 30% luck and matchup dependent.
Well, more than that, but I mean it's.
I would say 30%. I would say 30%.
Sure. I mean, I think list design already, submitting your list, I think, can also even be 40% of it. Like, you already, like, kind of have your brawler's fate in mind.
No, I consider list submission 80% of it. Like, your list is made, like, it requires somebody good, well, probably 50%, whatever. 50% of your tournament is building your list and being able to bring, like, as of right now, if you play perfectly, no matter what list you have, you play a preset 5 people, whatever. If you would play perfect every game, you would win the tournament. Now, however, depending upon what they bring compared to what you brought, if you have the tools and you play perfect, you will win the tournament. However, if you didn't bring the tools, you'll lose. So, 50% of that tournament is you being able to discern what tools you'll need, when you'll need them, how much of what you need them, and being able to utilize them. So I'll say 50-50.
I think there's a special character will in this tournament. Obviously, I'm taking one.
No.
And you are not. So what do you think their role in this tournament will be?
I don't think they will because I think special characters, except for a couple exceptional few. One list we didn't go over was Lord Croak.
Gurn's list?
Yeah, Gurn's list, our Lizardman player, who's bringing Lord Croak, Teto Echo, and then just 2 blocks of Saurus, 1 Temple Guard. It's an unbreakable Temple Guard unit. It's super annoying. You can't kill it because it's -1 to hit. It's 50 guys. Like, that's what ruined Brawlers. That's, like, something like that is what would ruin Brawlers for me. Because, like, I do not want to play High Elves. Because, like, if they have the banner and they have a huge unit like the White Lion Horde, like, I just lost. Like, I cannot win Brawlers.
You can't even do the Occam's trick versus it. Like, if you like,
I cannot do anything against.
You can just feed it pink horrors, which is just rough. But
I'm going to take a small loss basically if I can. And it's the same thing with that unbreakable Croak unit. And if like somebody brought like 100 Slayers or whatever, like your opponent's just basically putting down a unit that you're never probably gonna ever kill, and you just don't get the points, so you just lose the tournament. So which sucks because like in the 20-0 system you could avoid that because you just kill off the chaff, you avoid it, you don't let them get anything, you take a small win, whatever. You can recover from a small win. But like at this, it's just there's no answer for it.
Yeah, that's why I was confused. Like about your list, I don't understand how you, as a demon player, you can ever not take the metal mages to it, especially uncomped. Like if you know you're going to see the banner win in a lot of high elf lists, like how do you not take final trans if it's the only answer ever in the book?
But because the answer is imperfect, and to get the unit down to 25% requires usually like 3 final trans, which I should never get in a real
You just need to kill Aerial though with the final trans, and you can actually beat the unit through like break checks or whatever. Maybe.
And no, they're stubborn.
Yeah.
They're stubborn 10 rerollable. It's the White Lions.
I mean, getting the characters out of it.
They're good. It's the banner. You put the banner on the unit, you can't pop the banner.
No, I'm saying that's why the final trans. You still can final trans. There's no two. You don't get two saves, right? There's no.
Yeah, no, but you get 2 lookout sirs.
Yeah, I'm saying the 2 lookout sirs. You still keep that for brawlers or no?
You still keep that for brawlers, I believe. Okay. So like I'm gonna have to beat basically a 2-up, 2-up, and that's if I get it off. So, and I should not be getting it off enough to repay what that is. So it's better. I went off with the if I face White Lions, I'm just gonna have to ignore them, whatever. And same with Little Lord Croak unit. Like most people, like honestly, it sucks, and you're just gonna have to realize it before the game even starts. You're like, if they pull it out, like I'm just gonna have to take the loss.
See, I think Empire has like that's where you get it a little bit more of Empire. Like Empire is much more dicey in like the demon matchups and the elf matchups than you are with demons. But I think like having the non-magical attacks and having stuff like a steam tank that's unbreakable and being able to hold it for a round and do a lot of impact hits kind of helps out with those matchups versus infantry. But then versus dwarves and orcs, like I'm still like screwed a lot of the time. So I think it's just like you play your trade-offs in those matchups.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Overall, I hope a special character does not win brawlers, and I don't think it will, because I think they're too skew. Where I said, like I said, I see most skew lists go 4-1, and if 4-1 is enough for when you tournament, then good. Good for
like,
you.
What's skew about me and Nick's special character? Like it's just a cav hero that's frickin' has.
I didn't think yours was skew.
What?
I didn't think yours was very skew, but I think that bus. I still think you're a Death Star.
Kind of, yeah.
I think you're a Death Star more than a balance. So I think, yes, again, I think you'll have one bad game. Like I think something will go terribly one bad game, and like you'll take like 1,000-point win or whatever, 1,500-point win. Like something will happen where you don't get the scenarios, you don't get your objective, and then you only get like 2/3 of their.
Yeah, I think Empire a lot struggles with the snares just because they don't have fast banners. But
that's my example of like a 4-1, because like if you don't break 2,500 points, I consider that a loss. So like one game you're not gonna get like something like Blood and Glory, like something will happen with Blood and Glory where you just don't break them.
Now me and you talked about this. This is the last point I kind of had before going into this, that you thought on the top tables there would be a lot of jumping around just because like there's like a lot of players now that are like very solid in the Mid-Atlantic, and just be like, it's hard to get 5,000 points off a solid player. Like it's even hard to get 4,000 points off a solid player without you both shoving, thinking you're winning the shove, and then just like one thing fringing on it.
My impression of the top.
So like, what do you think will happen once you get to like game 3? Like, do you think it'll start like kind of being like?
I think after game 3, the top 7 tables will be like 3,000 points each person, every game. I think it'll be super tight.
Depending on
the top, depending on the matchups. Like yes, you're gonna get a couple blowouts, but like maybe one table out of the 7. And then like next game, like they could get blown out the next game. I think it'll be super tight every game. I think it'll be, if they were to the 20-0 system, I bet they would be ties. Okay. But for brawlers, whatever, because it's the VP, so you're basically both going to be getting like I think both people will be getting like 2/3 of their opponent's armies every time, unless something again extreme happens where somebody just gets blown off the table.
All right. Do you think Gary Parsley will win best in race? There will only be one other Chaos Dwarf person at this tournament, most likely.
Do I think Jerry Parsley will win best in race?
Yes.
No. I do not think he will.
Okay.
He might. Very well might. But I do not think he will, because Foul has the best Chaos Dwarf player, because Chaos Dwarf players don't require any skill.
Okay. All right, man. You got any more questions?
Double Kadai is stupid. It should not be allowed.
Well, I'm happy to see it, but...
I think, basically wrapping it up, I think the big thing about Brawlers is I think I'm betting a control list, somebody who brought balance. I think they're going to have answers to everything.
Give a control list a little bit more, just because I'm kind of a little off base with what you mean by that. And
control list I base off of like that high elf MSU list we reviewed. I can consider that a control list. I consider like if something goes wrong, like if he loses a unit, I can recover from that. However, like the Maorian troll list earlier, like he only has 2 units. He has 3 units. If something happens to that general, he's lost. Game's over. Like the game is literally over.
You're just saying a well-rounded list is what you mean by control.
Well-rounded list that can take like a
Do you
major swing.
consider
I consider my list no, I do not consider that. I consider that super skew because if the Demon Prince goes down, I consider him. If the Demon Prince goes down super early, I consider that list easy to deal with, and it'll get zeroed. Like my list, I consider if I lose the Greater Demon, I still stand a chance in a lot of games because I have a lot of other things to back me up. However, like the Great Unclean One list that like another foul guy is playing, he's playing the Great Unclean One skewed Nurgle. Like if the Great Unclean One dies, he has no answer for armor anymore. So like if he was playing Empire and the Great Unclean One dies to a lucky cannonball, game's over. Like he's not ever killing the Demigorgons. He's not ever killing the Knights. He's just gonna try and pick up the points that he can, and he's gonna get tabled.
True.
So,
I mean, some of these
consider
ones like Bretonia obviously have to run the type of list they have to run. So I mean,
that is the disadvantage of playing a couple armies where you don't have those choices. Like I think Warriors, I think the strongest Warrior list is not the triple Chimera, double Chimera, Demon Prince. I think it's the Blasted Standard, double Troll, double Hell Cannon.
but I don't know if that does well with Brawlers. Like I think the reason Nick did.
I've played it at 3,000 points, and it's super strong for people that have to shut because the mentality of your opponent having to.
You took Throg, right? When you were playing in that.
Yes, I played Throg. But you play Throg in one unit, you play another unit, you play the Blasted Standard with 3 characters. One's a BSB, one's your general on foot, and one's a mage. There's actually 2 mages. One's on foot, one's mounted. You take the Blasted Standard, one of them's level 4 death, one of them's level 2 each with the extra spell. You probably will get Treason, you'll probably get Doom and Darkness. You've got 2 Hell Cannons. You're going to blow people off the board.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
And they have to come at you. Which, that list, Matt Beasley has played it for a long time. It's very, very hard to play. I did not do well with it because I overextended with the trolls, and once the trolls are out of range, then they're stupid. But I think if you are good at it, I consider Matt. Basically like this. Matt's bringing that control, the balanced Dark Elf list with 3 Death Stars basically, or 3 strong units. I think he would do better with the Warrior army.
Okay.
With the double Hell Cannon, double Trolls.
I think he has like 1 Death Star. I think you can make 3 Death Stars out of Dark Elves, which would be really strong.
He can make 1 Death Star unit if you put everything in the same unit.
Which I think might happen. By average army finish position, what do you think would be the top 3 and the bottom 3? Now, I think that's different than asking what the best army is, just because the best army is probably the person you think is going to win. So, like, you asked me that question, Hyle's up there, but I don't know if all the Hyle players, like Nick will.
Average 3 armies, I guarantee Warriors will be in the top 3. I don't know where they'll fall in the top 3, but I guarantee they will just because the skew lists are so strong and they do so well against most people that they will get there. Mm-hmm. There'll be enough people playing them that they will get there. I don't see demons up there because I don't think there'll be enough demon players to have a strong average.
I'll be disappointed in you and Sprag if you don't top 10 this with how dirty your list is, by the way. For anyone playing those Exalted Flamers, ask what they do and like really think it through what they do because it's ridiculous. Like I beat the other day, but I barely beat it, and it's the most ridiculous list I've ever played in my life.
They're pretty strong, but I don't see a lot of other people bringing it. I can see just me and Sprag playing it because I think everybody else will play the Nurgle Demons, which the Nurgle Demons will go 4-1.
Yeah, so I think how does Demons not finish first overall? But keep going.
Just because of the number of players.
And who do you think will be the next one?
I think Dark Elves because I think the new Dark Elves are just so strong as a standalone army, and they're hard to play against for most people. I think they're very hard to play against, just because of that. I think the Bolt Throwers are super strong. I think if you take those pegs, which I guarantee people will take that Cloak of Twilight peg guy, he's just super hard to play against.
And I agree with the Warriors and Demons. I actually think Vampire counts based on the players I see.
Vampire counts was actually going to be my last pick
because I think they can do really well, and I think they can get points really well. Like
if you face Ethereal Hex Race, like 2 huge units of Hex Race with the wrong army, and you don't have it, you're going to get run over.
Yeah, that can get 5,000 points really easily.
Yeah, so, like that's what I was saying earlier. Like even like I'm experienced enough that I know Well, I'm playing demons, so it's a little bit of whatever. Like, okay, if I was playing in your spot, you're experienced enough to say, all right, I can't advance on this army. I have to sit back and kill a hex race, or else they're just going to murder me. Like, they're going to run over my army.
Without banishment, I can't beat that army. And it's like he has death smite.
Exactly.
First turn.
But like you're not going to move up on him.
Yeah, I don't even think I can 12-inch it with hex race being in the game. Like it's just it controls my movement even before like a deployment. So it's bad. I mean, that's why I think Empire won't even be like top 5 army here.
I think Vampires will be because of the hex wraith list and how strong it is against a lot of people.
Okay, and then what do you think your bottom 3 is? I think obviously Chaos Dwarves.
Chaos Dwarves
down
because I think
so hard.
As of the 2 players that I know playing them, I think they'll both have 2 games where they just get blown off the table because they are who they are, and they're just not going to be able to recover because they're like, oh no, my Kadai died. I can't do anything.
I think Wizards could be in the bottom 3 also. I don't think that they fight as well as you want them to with that.
I think Wood Elves will be.
Yeah,
because a lot of people will be trying the new book, and they won't have a good list down for Brawlers, and they're just going to get run over.
You know what? Tomb Kings instead of Wizards.
And then Tomb Kings. Those are my 3. And Tomb Kings because, again, like Tomb Kings just aren't that strong. Wood Elves because the new people will be playing them, and they're just not experienced yet. It hasn't been out long enough. And then also the Chaos Dwarfs because as of right now, I think there's only 2 players, and I consider them both going to go 3-2 or worse, depending on who they play.
Shouldn't win a game this tournament. I'll be very disappointed if you do.
Depending on who they play, because I see the Chaos Dwarfs doing well is if when they put their army down, they look at their opponent. If their opponent has to ask what anything is, they will win the game.
Yeah.
If they don't, they're going to lose horribly.
Yeah.
Is basically what Chaos Dwarfs comes down to.
Right on, man. All right, man. Well, good talk, good preview. I look forward to seeing everyone there in a weekend.
I will try to record my games. I'm really bad at recording them. I've been trying to for the last thousands of tournaments I've gone to. I will definitely record this one because I've got time.
Atomic Empire always does it for you on Twitch TV.
They deleted my round 1 or my table 1 games last time, so I didn't get to do it. But I will definitely be taking battle reports. I will encourage the rest of the FAL gamers to do battle reports, or at least take pictures of their games, and we'll do a whole FAL gamer analysis after Brawlers. So Brawlers is in 2 weeks, and I hope to do well. I hope you do well.
What's your goal, by the way?
Goal is 4-1, maybe 5-0. Goal is at least top 3 general.
All right. Mine just to be
then top 10. Well, best in race is always a goal because
you're not gonna beat Sprague, but sure.
It is between me and Sprague, as of I know. But best in race, obviously, top 3 general, and then top 10 overall.
All right. So I just be wing best. If I win best in race Empire, I'll probably be top 10 overall anyways, just because there's 30 Empire.
If you win best in race, you're probably going to be top 10 overall.
Because Empire is such a competitive army. But yeah,
any army.
Yeah, you think it'll be that diverse? I think there'll be like 4 armies in the top 10.
I think it'll really for Empire.
Well, no. I'm saying how many armies in the top 10 do you think will be different armies in the top 10? I think there'll be like
probably 5. 5 or 6. Yep. 5 or 6, yeah. So I can see demons, warriors, high elves, dark elves, vampires,
ogres.
Ogres. I could see it ogres. So yeah, that's 6.
Yep, in the top 10, and then I think after that it's kind of whatever.
I'm sure you'll see the rest of the best in race before 20.
In the top 20, yeah. I think like by top 20 you should see every race that's there.
Except for Chaos Dwarfs, they'll be down like
58. You'll have to wait till 101.
Maybe 70.
Chaos Dwarf player.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it. All so, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed our analysis. See you.